Welcome to the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, a weekly broadcast sponsored by CVC Success Group, hosted each week by industry speaker, coach, author, and educator Jerry Eisenhower. Our presentations are produced to assist business owners and managers in turning their business dreams into their business realities. And now, here is your host, Jerry Eisenhower.
And I want to welcome you to another episode of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network. This is episode number 78. Our podcast is sponsored by the CVC Success Group. Our mission is to provide the tools to make your business dreams into your business realities. Let us know how we can help you. But we produce this podcast in order to give you ideas, concepts, processes, and procedures that you can make a change in your business right there in your office. And this episode today is no different because I've got an old friend of mine that's going to be my guest today. His name is Taylor Hill. And Taylor and I met almost 10 years ago. And this involved a conversation where I called Taylor up on a Saturday afternoon. I can remember to this day, I was walking around on my deck. And my words to Taylor was, you don't know who I am. So let me tell you a little bit about who I am, and let's see if we can work together and come up with some processes and procedures, because I think I got clients that need your help. And from that point, we started a great relationship. In fact, we had a conversation last week, and we've helped each other over the years to understand how business is changing and looking at it from my aspect and Taylor's aspect, and how can we help people. Another big thing was Taylor and his partner, Carter, they had a podcast that went for a couple years, and I had the pleasure of being able to do what we called groundhog hunting for a year with these guys. And every week we'd come on and Carter would ask the question, what groundhog we chasing this week, Jerry? And then we would go into a little helpful tip for people that were having groundhog issues, which are the chaos and frustrations that keep repeating themselves. So Taylor, you out there ready to rock and roll today, brother?
Yes, sir. I am ready. I'm actually excited about this topic. I think a lot of things have changed in the last decade, and a lot of things are going to change in the next decade. So interesting. We'll get into it.
That's exactly right. And like I said, this goes on. We've known each other for almost a decade now, and I consider you and Carter to be some experts in how to market. So let me ask you the first question. What changes have you noticed in the way that blue-collar service businesses operate today from when you first started working in your trade of marketing these types of businesses to the market they serve? What have you seen changed in the past decade?
So that's a really interesting question. And the reason that, and you sent these questions to me previous, so I could have an answer for you, but I'm gonna talk a little bit about two different things. One of those things is there are business owners that have become much more sophisticated, and in that they have educated themselves or gone out and gone to classes and different things and really started figuring out what online marketing and marketing is. And to those people, man, it's made a world of difference. And I think that's probably the biggest change that I've seen for those businesses. But there are a lot of still service industry businesses that still believe it's like it used to be. And, that it works like Yellow Pages and all those other things that they did prior to being online. And they're still making a living. Most of them, in fact, I don't know any of them that are growing, and they seem to be fine with that, and that's okay too. So I think there's a split that I've seen, and it's not just in the chimney industry. I've had the pleasure of being associated with several other industries, including HVAC, plumbers, electricians, landscaping just recently, and they've kind of opened up some of the marketing people in those industries and they see exactly the same thing. So it's kind of the people that have jumped on the new guard of marketing as opposed to the people that just want to do it the way they've always done it, and they're okay with what they got.
Got you covered. And I think there's an important thing you said in what you just said, which is each person needs to make a decision and if they want to grow the business. You know, growing the business is an individual choice. I think a lot of people look at me and they may look at you as these guys are trying to drive us to have bigger companies. And I want to clarify that. We want to help drive you to the business of your dreams. Would you agree with that, Taylor?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why comparing your business to other businesses doesn't always work, because you may not have the same dreams that other businesses have.
That's so true. So stay with us on this. It's not a matter that we want you to grow your business. It's a matter of we want you to have the business that you truly want that fits your personality, your style, your disc, and everything else about you. So keep that aware as we go through. Growing the business to a larger size or a larger scale is not what we're driving to. We're driving you to have a business that meets your dreams and your goals. So let me ask you this, Taylor. What have been
Hmm.
some of the most dramatic changes you've seen in the last decade in the marketing thrust, in the way that we market? I mean, a lot of times, and I've told you this, when I started my service company, at that time there was no internet, there were no fax machines, and we relied on basically it could be direct mail, it could be newspaper ads, it could be yellow pages, it could be all those. And I found a secret tip back then was I started advertising on of all pages the obituary page, because the one thing I figured out was getting placement in the newspaper on a page that people looked at was vastly important. And at that point I realized everybody looked at the obituary page, and we did very successful there until finally the newspaper said you can't run an ad on this page any longer. We're reserving these spots strictly for florists and funeral homes, and took away one of my best marketing thrusts of the day. But what's the most dramatic changes you've seen? Because I showed that's a dramatic change that went on in my own business years ago.
I would say the most dramatic change that I've seen in the last decade is moving away from yellow pages and putting all that money into Google SEO, AdWords, Google Ads, sometimes Facebook. That's been the most dramatic change. And quite honestly, I was shocked at how much money some of the companies that I talked to paid for just yellow pages. And a lot of companies have totally moved away from that and are doing almost everything online, which is that's one of those things, that's one of those that's good but maybe not so good, because now that everybody's online, it has actually opened up some areas that people used to use, like direct mail is a good example. Direct mail, I think, is coming back because so few people use it anymore. So it's really surprising when you actually get something in the mail now that is directed to you. So even though people have gone online and have started doing all those things, I tell people all the time, don't forget there's a lot of just, guerrilla marketing stuff with direct mail and the use of yard signs when you're somewhere, leave behinds, those kind of things actually make a difference. So don't forget those, and just, you know, it's like they went from yellow pages and threw everything out that was associated with anything that wasn't online. And I think that's a mistake that people make. So yeah, yellow pages, it's not gonna, nobody uses them anymore, not the place to be. You need to redirect those funds. But that's probably the most dramatic shift that I've had, but that I've seen. But I've also seen some things that I think should have been maintained that got thrown out with that.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting. You're hearing a guy that makes a living doing websites for people and doing electronic communication. But he's telling you here that sometimes it's going to take more than just that. You got to be looking at all the other ways of bringing business and driving it to your websites. But one thing you didn't mention, but I know this is big that we didn't do at the beginning of the decade, is internet reviews. Has this been a dramatic change for people that can understand how to build the review process?
So it's really interesting that you say that, because I we were already on the review train a decade ago. We knew this was going to happen. The biggest change in that has been going from all kinds of places where you could put reviews to right now, there are very few places to put reviews that really matter. And that's a huge change too. But it's not just in reviews. I'll tell you, it's the same thing. The people that have embraced online marketing are really a lot of the same people that have embraced reviews. I'll just tell you, we had a client just recently say, I'm not going to get reviews. And we had to tell him, okay, if you're not going to get reviews, it will hurt you. And he's like, I don't care. I'm just not going to get them. I can't do anything about that. Reviews are one of the most important things any local business can do for their business, period. Reviews are important. There are so many platforms out there. There's GatherUp, there's ReviewBuzz, there's, we've got one internally. There's just all this stuff that you can do to get reviews. If you're not doing it, then you're not putting yourself in front of people. So let me just say this real quick. Everybody still thinks. I just read a great article with Mike Blumenthal and David Mim, who are some of the big SEO guys, been doing this since 1995. Online is not that. We all think that it's this new thing. It was 1995. So it's 25 years old. It's not that new anymore. So you've got a guy that's been in it from the beginning. And one of the things that he said about reviews, he's like, if you're not getting reviews, you're not even paying attention to what consumers are doing. Because everybody has this idea that a consumer goes to a computer now, puts in a search term, whatever comes up, and they go to the top of the page and they click on that website or whatever. It could be a map listing, whatever that is, and that's where they go. People don't search that way anymore. They search voice search. So that's a big branding thing that you have to do. And going into 2020, in 2019, 40% of search was voice search. In 2020, that's going to go up 50%. They think by 2025, it's going to be 85%. So when you're looking at voice search, and what I'm talking about is when you talk to your phone and say, hey, Siri, do this, and hopefully my phone won't come on. Alexa, Google Home, Cortana. These are all voice assistants. All right. So every one of those voice assistants pulls from somewhere else. So if you're going to optimize your website for all those things, then all of a sudden that's a pretty big spectrum, right? Would you agree with that?
I agree with that. And you want to know something really funny? When you were talking and you said, Alexa, guess who started talking in the next room?
Oh, probably your Alexa. Yeah.
My Alexa came on and was asking the question based because she heard her name.
Yeah, exactly. So when you've got all these voice assistants and they're all pulling their stuff from somewhere else, I'll just give you an example. If somebody, because I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, if somebody comes on and says, hey Alexa, give me an SEO company that works with service businesses in Nashville, Tennessee, I'm probably not going to come up. Who knows? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. But if somebody goes on and says, hey, Alexa, what's the phone number for Spark Marketer? They're going to give them my phone number. And that's a branding play. So every local business, in my opinion, needs to be concentrating on branding their business locally.
As
That
we
makes
talked about,
sense?
makes perfect sense. As you started talking about reviews, it brought me back to when I was going through my sales certification as a sales coach, and I was in class with Jeffrey Gitomer. And what a review is a testimonial. And this was one of the things that Jeffrey professed heavily to everybody in the class was gathering testimonials. And his words were the following: if you tell people how great you are, that's bragging. But if others say it, it makes it the truth. It makes it the truth. So let me ask you a question. Testimonials and reviews are the same thing. How much of your business do you feel comes to you because of testimonial driven clients?
Oh, I would say probably 95% of our business comes to us that way.
And I would
But
tell
the,
you
the
that
fact is that that's true of everything, because when somebody actually goes and sees the top listing,
yeah.
one of the very first things they'll do is go find out what the reviews are.
Hmm.
So, I got a call. It's probably been 8 months ago, maybe. I can't remember exactly when, but it's been earlier this year. A guy called me from up north and said, "I've got a problem, and can you help me?" And I said, "Well, let me take a look." So I went through everything. He was number one. Whoever was doing his SEO was doing a great job. He was number one on the map. He was number one in organic. He was number one everywhere. All right. And it wasn't a big town. I mean, where he was, it was fine, but he wasn't getting any phone calls. And the reason he wasn't is he had an average of 2.5 stars in reviews. And so my advice to him was, you don't need me. You need to get your reviews up. And he started complaining about everybody that had left him a review. I can't help that guy. I mean, that's somebody that needs you,
Right.
quite
Yeah, you're
honestly.
right. And we've had this discussion over the years, and I can vouch that there's been people that I've had you do a website analysis for, and in part of that, you would be looking at these things, and you would come back to me and say, Jerry, there's nothing I can do with this guy until he gets these things conquered. It's ridiculous for him to hire us because it's going to be failure. Do you remember some of those conversations?
Oh yeah, and if somebody does not have their business systems and their just the basic stuff together to where they can carry out when a customer comes in and does everything they need to do, when he goes out the door. I mean, those kind of things, you have to have a lot of that in place, or your marketing dollars go to waste, no matter who you use or what you do.
Right. So let me ask you this. What are the most common, and we may have already covered some of this, but what are the most common marketing mistakes, the misses or mishaps that you see business owners miss today in marketing to prospects? And let's keep this on prospects because I want to go a little deeper. When you're marketing to suspects,
Hmm.
suspects for your business, for your service. And what we want to do then is turn them into prospects. And a prospect is a person that reaches out to us. And then our next goal is to turn them into a customer. And many times they miss between the prospect and converting them to the customer. But what are the common marketing mistakes that you see that many business owners are doing today in marketing to prospects?
I think in the service world, and again, this is not in Chimney. This is kind of across the board. I think a lot of businesses are so overwhelmed right now because they don't have enough people and they don't have the systems in place. They're not following up with their prospects. I mean, even to the point of not answering their phones, not responding to emails, not having a really good chat system on their website. I mean, all these things. This is where your prospects come in. If you're going to turn somebody into a paying customer, the first thing you have to do is communicate with them. And when they're not being communicated with, they're going to go elsewhere. And it's too easy today for them to find somebody else to do it.
Got it. So here's my next one for you. Can you overmarket past your capacity? In other words, you're throwing money into marketing, but you don't have the capacity to handle the business. Do you ever see that happen?
Yes. And it's really one of the things that and this kind of hits home with us, because when our customers tell us we're busy, we're we're booked out for this many deals. I mean, we had people in August this year that were booked out through the mid-November. And so to market heavily and to do more things with those people, I mean, would just, cover them up. Of course, the chimney industry being as seasonal as it is, where the real problem starts and it's coming up is January, February, March, April, up until busy season again. But what people don't understand is you have to market year round in some things, and there are other things that you can pull the trigger on to help you when you're off season. Again, this, the companies that we see that do really, really well are those that make hay while the sun shines. I mean, as they're going in and doing the things that they need to do during the busy season, they're scheduling work and doing the things they need to do to keep them busy in the off season. And you could talk more on that than I can.
Yeah, I still remember. Do you remember the conversation you and I once had, Taylor? Because you had just started servicing a lot of chimney businesses and you were having a hard time understanding them. And this was probably in October or November. And you were sharing with me the frustration you had that these people would not return your phone calls. And
Oh
my
yeah.
answer to you was, give it until January the 15th. Mark it down on your calendar that on January 15th, these people are going to be calling you and they're going to be saying, help, our workload has dropped. Our phone calls are down. You got to do something right now. Do you remember that conversation?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the reality is, as a marketing company, and this is not an excuse, this is just a fact. I can't go out here in my neighborhood and go to every one of my neighbors' house and knock on their door and say, hey, do you need a website and an online marketing person? Do you need a website and online marketing person? Hey, do you need a website and online marketing person? And in hopes that after doing it 50, 60, 80, 100, however many times, to get one person that says, oh yeah, that would be nice, I'd like to have that. The reality is there's two ways you market. One is, and the Google way is, people are searching for you. Okay. So when people are searching for what you do, that's easy. And in the fall, that's when people are searching for chimney. I just found out 2 years ago that plumbers are seasonal. I didn't know plumbers were seasonal. I knew HVAC guys were, but I thought, if you had a plumbing problem, you just called them. But they actually have seasonal issues in February and early March. Who knew that? I didn't know. But if somebody's not looking for what you do, it's really difficult to get people to come to your website. On the other hand, there's the other way of marketing, which is kind of throwing yourself in front of people and just saying, hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm here. And a lot of people do that with Facebook. Hey, we're over here. This is what we do. Look at my dog, look at this. And by the way, this is what I do. In hopes that if somebody goes, oh, well, that's interesting, and either calls them or visits their website and realize, oh, I've never had my chimney service. Maybe I should do that. So those are the two ways that you really market, and not necessarily Google and Facebook, but the differences in those two platforms and how that works. Direct mail is another thing. When you use direct mail and you tell people off season, hey, I'm here, and if you never had your chimney serviced, we'll do that in a dryer vent for X, X amount off or a coupon. Giving those things to your current customers, giving them some discounts to go ahead and get their chimneys taken care of and serviced and swept off season. Email marketing. Tons of people don't use email marketing. So these are all ways that are common mistakes that people just miss, whether it's prospects or their existing customers.
Right. And that takes us to the next question for you, which is the existing customer. Because I believe most businesses fail drastically in marketing to their existing customer base. Bob Daniels, some years ago, did a tape. Bob used to put out cassette tapes twice a year, and he talked about the lifetime value of a customer. And this was probably 20 to 25 years ago, but he presented it that the lifetime value of a customer was in the $30,000 range, and that we often go after new customers, but we're not doing what we need to keep our existing customer base. So you just touched on this somewhat, but how do people improve on reaching out to their existing customers? Because one thing that's become very apparent to me is that many customers don't know everything that you provide. You think they do. In my own service and retail business years ago, many times we had people came to our retail store and they were making a purchase. And we would ask them if they'd ever had their chimney serviced or cleaned. And they would say, sure, yeah. And I'd say, what company did it? And they said, the Chimney Doctor. Do you know them? Yeah, that's us. So it was amazing to me, the people that we were missing, that we were doing business with, but they didn't know that we had a complete retail operation because it operated under a different name. So what's the ideas that you've got to capture this market, just like you said, to keep us going through the off season? Because forward scheduling keeps some companies very lucrative through the spring and summer. What's your ideas?
So I think probably the cheapest way to do it, and these are for little guys and big guys, whatever. If you want the least expensive way to communicate, it's all about communication, by the way. Everything is communication. We think we're in this high-tech world, but we miss communicating with people all the time. And we're sometimes as bad about it here because we're busy, we're getting, things are happening or whatever. Make sure you get people's emails so that you can send them at the least a quarterly email, letting them know, hey, you're there, these are things we do, didn't know if you needed this, here's a coupon, whatever you want to do, okay, whatever it is. The other thing is most companies don't work off a marketing calendar, which I think is crazy. But you don't know what you don't know too. The thing about a marketing calendar is what you do or what is requested or asked of you every single month of the year, and it doesn't change that much. So you should have a calendar that basically coexists with that month, and ahead of time, so that whatever you send out with an email is the same thing that you're talking about on your social platforms, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, doesn't matter. You're talking about the same things. When people call in, you've got a greeting and people are, the people that are answering the phones are saying, hey, this is Smart Marketer. We've got a 50% off, blah, 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 or whatever it is, so that people, whatever you're communicating that month, it is very consistent. Consistency, to me, is what makes or breaks most companies. Just being consistent with your message, consistent with what you do, consistent on how you do it, consistent with your systems. It's consistency. And we all struggle with it. We struggle with it too. So, it's easy to say, much harder to do. But that's what I think every business needs to aspire to, is being consistent across the board.
Got you covered. So, and as your business grows, you probably feel sometimes you face this yourself. It's overwhelming because of the number of
Oh,
people that you're dealing with. Do you ever feel overwhelmed with that?
dude, absolutely. I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, one of the things that we're probably going to do is this year is not take any more clients for a while, because I feel like our consistency with our existing clients is not where I want it to be. So we have to make some changes. I mean, that's a huge, huge thing. And it's not just in service businesses, it's businesses across the board.
Okay, so here's another one for you. And this has been around for years, but it's becoming a key part of marketing today, which is the use of videos, and where we use videos to do what I call speak to our community. What we're doing is presenting ourselves as the authority in the community of what we do. What's your feeling on video and how it's come alive in the future of video and marketing?
I'm going to read something from a SEO trends for 2020 that everyone needs to know, okay? Because this will hit on this 100%. It says content is king and video is the king of content. It has been said time and time again that content is king. To be more specific, with the ever-growing popularity of video, there's no doubt that it is the type of content that sits on the throne. Research has shown that video content is many times more likely to appear on page one of the search. It's the search engine, the SERPs. So in your search engine, when you type in Google and whatnot, than a web page with plain written content. Experts has also been predicting that by 2022, videos will account for 82% of all web traffic. If you want to jump into video bandwagon, start embedding more on your website, optimize it, add copy on the website so that Google understands what video is about, and allowing it to index your video appropriately. So, that answer your question?
Answers it completely. So you, like me, see video as a major, major way to build your business.
Absolutely. And I think, the big issue with video, I'll just tell you, is there are people who are afraid to get, they don't want to be videoed. They think they have to be an actor. They think it needs to be a certain caliber, a certain this, a certain that. And that's fine, but there's normally somebody in the company that doesn't mind being videoed.
Well, let me,
If you make them the spokesperson, do that. Have things planned. Again, going back to your marketing calendar, the other thing I hear is, I don't know what I'm supposed to be videoing. Hey, if you have a marketing calendar, guess what? It tells you what you need to be talking about. I mean, these are
well,
all, these are just all simple things that you can do. And if you want to do that more high end videos for websites and those kind of things, yeah, then do that too. It's okay.
here's the thing I tell clients, and that's a question a lot. But what do I say? And I said, here's exactly what your story is. Every day you have people calling your office with a pain or a desire. And what you need to do is track what's coming in your phone conversation, what's coming in your chat conversations. What are the problems? Because if some people have that problem, you can bet it is shared by others. So, as a proactive marketing means, this is what you want to talk about. If somebody, when you're getting calls about chimney leaks, you need to be doing a video while you're the expert in chimney leaks and what to look for. If you got smoke getting in people's eyes from their fireplaces not performing, it's time to do a video. Is smoke getting in your eyes? And you do it as an informational thing, not as a commercial. Does that make, if that makes sense to you? In other words, I want to share with you, my customer, the answer to your problem. And what I'm trying to do is establish myself as the expert in that community for that issue. Does that make sense, Taylor?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, whatever your clients are asking, that's what you need to be talking about. And again, if you have a viable marketing calendar, then you already know what clients are asking you. I mean, when I sit down with people to do these calendars, I am amazed how many of them don't know what people are asking in a given month. It's like, what, people call in, what are they asking for in February? It's this, it's that. I said, do you not track that stuff? Well, no. Have you talked to your CSRs to find out things? Do they tell you? Well, no. So these are the things. Sometimes we are, and I'm guilty of this. Sometimes as a CEO of my company, I'm too far removed from my customer. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and when you get too far removed from your customer, this is what I've realized, is things start to break down. So there's got to be some methodology put in place and systems put in place that customer information comes up to you, that you get that customer information. So
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
this
your turn.
I think what's really important there is if, when we get so far removed from our customer, then we start thinking about our business from our own perspective. And if you think about your business just from your perspective and what you need, you lose sight of what your customer needs.
We start off, and Taylor and I have so much we want to say. We just did the key thing we promised we never do, which is interrupt ourselves. So we apologize for that because we went over this before. So, hey, I jumped the gun on that one. But anyway,
Okay.
This reminds me of a television commercial I saw some years ago, Taylor. And it was a CEO of a large company walked into his sales team and he handed out plane tickets. And he told them the following: we're going back to basics. You're going to get your butt out and you're going to talk to our customers. We have lost contact with them. And that just verifies what you just talked about. Another thing I want to make a point of is the challenge of getting in front of a camera. That's a significant challenge for so many people. And even here within our company, we have members of our team that today do extremely great video. And it was almost like forcing them to get in front of the camera. I'll even say their names: Randy Biswell, Cheryl Eisenhower, Aaron Marcus. All these ladies had a real problem, and they are phenomenal in front of a camera. You've seen their videos. Do you agree, Taylor?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is because my wife's the same way with her business. She does not want to be on video because she doesn't want to be judged. And I think women, I've just said you got to get over that because people are going to judge you. They judge guys too.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. It's the culture that we live in. So you just got to suck it up and do it because it's part of what's necessary.
And the neat thing about video, if you take one you don't like it, if you're doing a live, you can delete it right off after it comes up.
Yes, sir, you can.
That's what you can't delete an email, but you can sure delete a video. And if you don't like it, you can take it right down. Because speaking to your community is a very important part of today. I mean, that's how we sell our services a lot, is getting in front of people and showing them the value. That's what it's all about. So you have this opportunity today. But listen, Taylor, we're drawing to a close on this episode, and you've really come out with some great ideas. So before we close this out, what would you share with the people that we've got the honor, the privilege of listening to us? What would you share with them to carry them into the next decade to be as successful as they want to be?
I would tell them that opportunities in marketing online are going to be shrinking even more. There was probably 50 different directories and things 10 years ago that we had people in that made a difference in how they got searched and how they came up and the environment that they came up in, and that has basically gone away. I mean, you are going to end up with 4 major players online, and the reason that's happening is every time something interesting comes out or something that's viable comes out, one of the 4 buy it and either squelch it or what's the word? take it over and kind of infuse it into their business models. So the opportunities to do a lot of things, I think, are going to dwindle, and you're going to be in the I don't know, the ecosystem, I guess, is what I'm looking for, of 4 different companies. And I think that's coming with one caveat: unless the government steps in and breaks them up and stops them. So if that happens, we don't know what that's going to look like, but pay attention. That's what I would tell you.
That's it. So anyway, we're coming up on the end of this podcast, and one thing I know about my buddy Taylor here is Taylor is a lot more than just an SEO guy. Taylor knows a lot about budgets. He knows a lot about finances. And I also know that Taylor is a guy that loves to help people. So Taylor, is the offer still out there? If you can help somebody, to send you an email and set up a time to call, how do they get in touch with you, brother?
So the best way to get in touch with me is to email me at taylor@sparkmarketer.com. I get so many of these doggone spam calls, both to my business line and my cell phone these days, that if I've got you in my phone, then it means that you can call me directly. But if I don't have you in my phone, email me and I will get back with you, normally within 24 hours.
But here's the whole thing. Let me share this. Give Taylor the courtesy of emailing him and setting up a call, because I'm sure he wants to be fully prepared for your call and have his mind clear. Would you agree with that, Taylor?
Yeah, and just email me what you want to talk about too, because I have people that I've talked finances with and kind of set them up on certain paths, and then other people want to talk to me about their marketing plan and where they are and what I think. And so I'm fine with doing any of that. So yeah, I'm very open to that. A lot of it is just figuring out and make sure I get it on my calendar. And I will tell you, if you don't let me know, I'm be 100% honest here. I'm a busy guy. So if I put you on my calendar and you don't show up, we're done.
Yep.
How's that?
So brother, I want to thank you for coming on today. It's been too long since we've done one of these together. We'll have to do them more often because you got a lot of good knowledge to share with people. So I really appreciate you taking time out of your day. Like I said, we set this up probably a week ago. We set it up to do it at this time this morning. So he was completely prepared, and I wanted him to be prepared. So I sent him the question so he knew exactly where I was going with this. And that's what you want to do with this. So brother, I appreciate you joining me today. You agreeable to coming back in the future?
Absolutely. And I really appreciate you, Jerry, and everything that you do for not only your clients, but for the industries you serve.
And I appreciate that, brother. So this will end another episode of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, sponsored every episode by the CVC Success Group. Let us know how we can help you make your business dreams into your business realities. There's a new decade starting in just a few days, and it's probably already started when you hear this podcast. So make 2020 the start of something great. Stop dreaming about it, and let's implement it, and let's make it happen for you. And with that, we're gonna back out of here. This is Jerry Eisenhower, and I want to thank you once again. It's an honor, it's a privilege, and it's a pleasure to be able to do these podcasts for our friends in the industry.
Thanks for joining us here each week at the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, sponsored by CVC Success Group, providing you the coaching and educational outreach services you need to move to your dream destination in business and in life.